Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our ongoing series, Conversations, Widowed by Suicide Conversations. I'm Michelle Ann Collins, an author, yoga therapist, and grief educator, grief coach, a few other things. And I'm joined by my partner in suicide loss and also grief education and yoga teacher. We're practically the same person. Melisa
Different sides of the
Uchida,
country. So
different side of the
it's
country,
kind of nice,
diff-
East and West. Yeah.
different ages. But yeah, so Melisa and I met in our grief educator course, and we just have so much in common. And we've had so many conversations that we felt could be very helpful to other people who have lost a spouse or partner to suicide and wanted to share some of these conversations in hopes that we can help educate and help alleviate some suffering, because we've been there and we know what it's like and we made it through, so you can too. That could be our little tagline. I like it. It rhymes. Anyway,
Yeah.
today we are going to cover. Do you want to introduce the topic?
Oh, so thank you. So today we are talking about how to take care of your body in grief. And I have been teaching yoga for 30 years or so. I used to smoke and drink way back in the day. And when I quit, I found yoga, and yoga changed my life. It got me to change how I looked at my body and my relationship with my body, and to slowly start to build actually a healthy and good relationship with my body. So my husband was, he was a diehard Dave Asprey fan, and he was an ultra athlete, ran lots of marathons, and really trained his body. So going into grief, I was already would have considered myself relatively healthy. Um, but once you have this sudden loss, it's like your whole life shatters, and you can't even, it's like eat something. It becomes a whole different way of looking at your body, because you're so disassociated, you're really out of your body. So then the idea of feeding your body something good, or giving your body the rest it needs, or exercising, those are things that you might go, I can't do any of that. I'm in so much pain. I want to curl up in a ball in my bed and stay there for the next couple months. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
yet
most of us
it's
can't
so
do that.
right, right.
Right.
So most of us can't do that. And so how do we wanted to talk today about what are some of the ways, simple ways, that you can take care of your body so that it starts to heal? Because physically, it's a physical shock. It's a physical blow. Think of it as like a disease that's kind of taken over your body. So we really do have to nurture it.
Yeah, grief can be so devastating to your physiology. And we talked about that a lot in the last video when we discussed the effect of grief and trauma on your body. So if you haven't watched that one, you might want to, because it leads into what we're about to talk about. So when you're in fight or flight, which you often are in grief, and especially with suicide loss and the accompanying trauma that's often there, your body is under this constant need to fight or flee. And one of the things that I actually didn't mention this in the earlier video is that your appetite is suppressed because you're in this heightened state of awareness. Like you think that something terrible is going to happen, and your physiology is preparing you to fight or flee. And so your appetite can get suppressed, and not just your appetite, but your ability to digest food. And yoga has a sister science called Ayurveda. And in Ayurveda, it's the thought is you are what you digest, not just what you eat. So we want to
And that
talk about,
and that all disease starts in the digestive system, is a
yeah,
product
yeah.
of poor digestion.
So we
And,
want
and
to
so
talk about
mhm.
supporting digestion during grief first. So go ahead.
So for supporting digestion, know that all of your body's energy goes into fight or flight. So your body, digestion just doesn't work. So there's not, you're probably not going to eat or want to eat. I used to be a super nuts person, nuts are really hard to digest anyway, even when you have a healthy digestive system. I I think I lost about 15 or 20 pounds when Nate died. And I didn't even have a bowel movement for about 10 days. And I remember the first bowel movement I had. I know, and I didn't even know that was possible to go that long without a bowel movement, but I was
Oh
so
my
like
goodness.
sucked in. Drinking water had was hard. All of these things were hard. I used I would try to make myself eat because I wanted my kids to see me eating. So I would take a couple of bites, but nothing tasted good. It's not like I wanted to eat anything. I ended up finally using cachava, which is a protein powder. It's a pea-based protein powder. It has lots of superfoods in it. I swear by cachava now. It really, I still have a cachava a day. I would put a little bit of avocado, some banana, and some MCT oil in it. MCT oil is another really, it's a great anti-inflammatory for the body, and it helps with brain function. Grief brain is a real thing. You cannot think. Once I started eating again, I started to eat things that were going to help me improve my energy and my brain function because those were the two things that I really was struggling with. And so just having grazing throughout the day was good for me. I started to drink more water. I used Miralax for a while to help go to the bathroom, and magnesium, that calm magnesium, also to help uh, keep things just kind of flowing. And in a way, this is going to sound kind of crazy. In a way, it was the first time in my life that I didn't have this really strong relationship with food. I would say I have had eating disorders. I had kind of this body dysmorphia and struggled with my relationship with my body all through my teens and 20s. Um, and less so in my 30s, but there was still kind of this love hate relationship with food. So it was the first time in my life that I really didn't even think about food. I didn't have any cravings. It wasn't nagging me. I wasn't concerned. I wasn't obsessing over it. I was sort of that person before Nate died. And so in a way, it was a little liberating to be able to go, I didn't appreciate it at the time, of course, but
Yeah.
to not be completely consumed by my relationship with food. So it was just, so when I did start to add back in things, I really added in the things that I knew my body needed in order to function at its best. And that is, I'll say it's because I have three kids that are depending on me to function at my best. If I didn't, I mean, it really could have been Cheetos on the couch, um, I don't
And
know,
and
yeah.
that's okay. I do want
And
to
that, yeah.
also just emphasize that anything you can get down is better than nothing. Uh, if you can drink cachava or some other type of protein supplement, ensure something, any calories that you can get in are better than no calories. And another way to support digestion is the taking a sip of apple cider vinegar. I know it sounds gross, but when I was having a complete digestion shutdown, um, there's a product called Bitters that you can get in a little spray bottle in the health food store. You spray that into on your tongue. It tastes terrible. I'm sorry, it does, but it can kickstart your digestion so that when you're never hungry and your brain and stomach have disconnected because of grief and trauma, it can help start the processing system so that and so that you can start actually wanting food again and digesting food. Now the flip side of this is some people go to food for comfort and they find that all they do is eat in grief and trauma. And when you're early on, again, back to the self-compassion, you don't need to be hard on yourself about that. Just get through your days however you can. If all you can eat is ice cream, if that's all that sounds good to you, just know that eventually you're going to want to support your health by eating healthy foods because it is as if you have gotten injured. And if you say broke your leg, you would want to put a cast on it and then slowly start walking again when it was time. So same thing with caring for your body. And we talk about digestion first because with Melisa and I have that in common with the yoga teaching. But there's also a lot of other things we want to talk about: breathing, moving, sleeping. And before we leave the digestion part, just a reminder of a few things that I love to share with my coaching clients when they're trying to figure out, well, what do I eat? So you can eat anything that tastes good. Some things that you might want to keep in mind when you have choices, when you're able to make wiser choices about your food, are eat the rainbow. So you want your diet to be very varied if you can. Now, if today's a Cheetos on the couch day, you do you. That's okay. But when you can support your physiology with healthy food, you will feel better and it will help you with the grieving process. So eating the rainbow, heavy on the plants. I'm not saying you have to go vegan or vegetarian, but plants do support our wellness in some really important ways. So if you're just a hamburger and potato chips, or French fries person, maybe add an extra lettuce and tomato on there. There's always options. There's always a time to choose, or an ability to choose. Maybe instead of 2 pieces of pie, 1 piece of pie and an orange after dinner. All of these things, and you can just do it very, very slowly when you feel you can make a choice. And you'll notice as you make wiser choices with the food that you take in that you feel better.
I'm a huge fan of soups as well, and crock pots.
Mm.
And I believe chicken soup, homemade chicken soup, heals. It is whatever you want to put in it, and you put it into a crock pot. Um, Anything with bone broth. And
Yeah.
I firmly believe I would just sip bone broth. And also food that's made with love. And that sounds so funny, but we had so many people that were bringing food to us, and I could feel the love and the nourishment in those foods. And I can't tell you how healing it really is when the food is actually, there's an intention that goes into preparing it. So I am not great in the kitchen. My kids will tell you that I can make a couple of dishes. Yeah. And I burn food frequently because of my ADD. So I'm usually multitasking. So they would, when food is made with love, and I was like, oh, I noticed my body, I could feel the nourishment. And so I started to cook more when I started cooking, and that wasn't for 6 months or maybe even longer, but started to really have intention behind the cooking. Say, all right, let me put some love and some healing into what I am doing. And I think that that makes a big difference too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a mindfulness practice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. A soup. I'm glad you brought soup up because soup was really one of the only things I could eat at first. Everything had to be liquid because I just didn't have enough digestive enzymes to even make saliva to digest. And this is where digestion starts. Another thing to support digestion is, digestion starts before your food hits your mouth. It's a all senses on board process. So you're smelling, you're seeing, you're maybe touching if it's food you eat with your fingers, and all of these things can help get your body ready, get those digestion hormones flowing. Um, so if you just try to slow down a little bit and,
Smell it.
oh, yeah,
Take a
yeah.
sniff before putting it in your mouth. Let,
Hmm.
yeah, let it be a sensory experience rather than.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I just want to take a moment here to remind everyone who's listening to this, just if it's not time to worry about these things, just get through your day. I know we're talking a lot about, oh, how nice it would be to eat this, and all these healthy foods. And if healthy food is not possible, just put it in the back of your mind. Keep it in the back of your mind.
You can
But
bookmark this page,
yeah,
bookmark it and come back to it in 6 months.
yeah,
That's what I would say.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
you
Just
don't
get
forget. It's
right.
just, mhm.
Get through this hour, get through this day. And so I think we probably said enough about food. Again, you can always get in touch with us if you have any questions. We're happy to chat and give you some more tips or resources about that.
We want to
So
move on
probably
to
the
movement.
actually I was going to
Movement?
do sleep first. I
Oh, yeah,
think
yeah. Oh, for
on
sure.
in order of importance. Yeah, so healthy sleep. We do most of our healing when we're asleep. Our brain, our emotions have been through an incredibly difficult time. And it's like I mentioned earlier, it's like an injury. And a lot of our healing can be done during sleep. Sleep can also be the last thing that feels good right now. So, do you want to talk about some sleep tips, Melissa?
Yeah, with sleep, it's kind of one of those things. We come from this society that teaches us that being busy is brings value. Somehow that's how I felt. The busier I was, the more important I felt or the more worthy I felt. And so in grief, your world stops, right? It's like it just shuts down. It's like, oh, there's nowhere to go. And a lot of people will want to rush back um, oh, just life keeps going, you just have to keep going, let's just kind of try to get back to normal. I would say normal,
Right.
there's no normal when you have lost your
No.
partner. um when you've lost your partner, period, when there's you don't go back to
Yeah.
a normal. It's a different route. So
And there's
um
no going back either.
there's
There's
no
there's
going
only
back.
now and there's what's next. We can't go back.
Yeah, so giving yourself this time, because it is an injury, and you don't see many animals, right? When they have their paw cut or something, you don't see them going out and like playing racquetball with their friends, right? They go into a cave and into a corner and they hide and they lick their wounds. And that's exactly what we need to do, is to give ourselves permission to go and retreat and to lick your wounds and to allow the wound to heal until it doesn't have to be totally healed, but until you're able to at least walk and feel safe, like you can put some weight on it. And by weight on it, I mean have your heart be healed enough that you can go out and not be crying every time we walk out or there's a memory of your loved one. And so giving yourself the permission to rest. Again, I did Epsom salt baths. That's kind of my go-to. I would light candles, I would play music. If I felt alone, I talked to Nate. So I would crawl in bed, and at first I stayed on the same side. I kept my side of the bed. Eventually I moved to the other side of the bed because I said, maybe I need to change. In order for me to change the pattern, I need to change all aspects of the pattern. So then I went to the other side of the bed, and then I said, you know what? I've got this bed. Like, let me take over the bed. And then I went to the middle of the bed, and then my son would keep coming in, and then the puppy. So then I really have like a sliver of the bed, but changing it up a bit so that I could
Yeah.
change. I rearranged. I changed bedrooms. So I have 3 kids. We moved bedrooms a lot. I was trying to find the right combination because 2 kids had to share a room, and it was disastrous. So uh, we did we did musical bedrooms for about a year and a half. I think it's settled now, but that was one thing that really actually helped me. Was I moved out of the master bedroom and I moved into one of the smaller bedrooms, and my daughters moved into the master bedroom. And so I had a whole different experience of going to bed, and that actually really helped me because going
Yeah.
to bed then wasn't a memory. It wasn't like, oh, I really feel Nate's absence.
Yeah.
Instead, it was a whole new room with a whole new, yeah.
I
So,
did something a little bit similar to that. I simply shifted which wall my bed was on. So it had, it gave me a completely different perspective when I went to sleep and I woke up. I would know Glenn's not there. He's never been here in this bed. facing this direction. I did
Hmm.
actually got new bedding and a new mattress too. But, if you're not in a position to change rooms or move, buy new bedding, it may be that you can simply move to the other side of the bed or change the position of the bed, move the bed to a different wall in the room. That really, it was a small thing, but it really made a big difference because then there wasn't his side and my side. The bed was facing a different way.
Yeah, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I there's sleep medication, and I did take sleep medication for about maybe the first 6 months or so. I took sleep medication to go to sleep, um, and cannabis, and that helped me. And then after that, I became a certified hypnotherapist, and I will say that the hypnotherapy was one of the most amazing things for me because it was reprogramming my nervous system. So it was taking me out of fight or flight and teaching me how to change my state of being at any time. And that was something that really, to be able to go from I can't breathe, or just this overwhelming pain, to a calm, peaceful state in a matter of, first it took a long time, and then it became a matter of minutes, and then it became almost a matter of seconds. And that was really powerful, I think. Hypnotherapy, or even guided meditations to fall asleep to, those are really
Mm-hmm.
powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of breathing exercises that it may be that a guided meditation is more appropriate now because you don't have the control over your mind that it takes, but maybe not. Maybe you can lay in bed and there's a couple techniques I'll share really quick because if you try them, they might work if you're not sleeping. So, one is to tighten and release every muscle in your body, starting with your face and release your arms, your shoulders, your hands, going all the way down to your feet. And do it, maybe 2 or 3 times, and you can go up and down. But so that works in two ways. One is it's a mindfulness practice, meaning it brings you into the present moment. It's just you thinking about tightening and loosening your muscles, and it takes those wicked thoughts that keep you up at night away. And then the other thing is that it will help to release tension from your physical body. When you tighten and then release, tension flows out. So you can maybe take a deeper breath, maybe melt into the mattress a little bit more. So that's one. And then the other one is just the simple following of your breath. And it can be hard when you have all these intrusive thoughts and the whys and the coulda, shoulda, wouldas keeping you up. But if you can just bring your attention to your breath and just watch with your eyes closed, internally watch the chest rise and fall, and just keep watching your breath. You can fall asleep doing that.
I
And
love
I
those.
don't know if Melisa has, I have some meditations on my website that are free, but you can also go to, there's tons of guided meditations and meditations out there that are free. Insight Timer is the one I use. They have ambient sounds and just
Mm.
whatever it takes to figure out a way to get your brain into the present moment and then relax it for sleep. Melissa
I
was
want to
talking
share.
about bathing. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So a couple of my favorite techniques. So diaphragmatic breathing is when we breathe and we can feel our belly expand. So we really want to breathe that way. That helps to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the rest and digest part of our nervous system. And then heart breathing is breathing into our heart. And Heart Math is an institute. They study the heart's electromagnetic field. And so for healing our heart, um, we breathe into our heart, and it actually helps our heart, literally the heart, not just the physical. It helps the physical heart, but it helps our emotional heart to heal, and our energy starts to expand. So I would do this with my son also, who he would draw broken hearts for months after his dad died. But we put one
Oh,
hand on our stomach and one hand on our heart, and we breathe. We count to four. Inhale, two, three, four. Exhale, four, three, two, one. We do that for about 10 breaths. And then I still keep my hands here there, or sometimes they might just fall off. Then we keep the same pace with our breath, breathing into our belly and breathing into the heart. So it's combining the diaphragmatic breathing with the heart breathing, and then start to count backwards from 100. So my son's really he's in first grade. He loves math. So 100, and at a really slow pace, 99, 98. And if you forget where you're counting, it's okay. It doesn't matter because you'll start to drift in and out and pick it up at 97, 90, and you're just counting backwards. But doing that at a really, with all the lights down. I use red light bulbs and amber light bulbs. So at nighttime after the sun goes down, I'm always wearing either blue screen glasses to keep out the blue light, and my my room and my kids' room, we have salt lamps and we use red light bulbs. That so that the light doesn't keep interfere with our circadian rhythm. If we're on the screen, I really try to stay off my phone after 8 o'clock at night, because and no TV. And that might, I know it sounds a little, that's might be, you might be like, no TV, I can't do that. Get some blue blocking glasses, because it really does make a huge difference in terms of, you'll feel your body actually go, it's like the whole body just takes a sigh, and we're preparing. If we think of sleep as a ritual that is so essentially important for your health and healing, and we have to prepare the body for that ritual. Have you ever gone to work, or maybe you've got a test that day or something, and you're preparing, right? So you're putting all these things together, preparing for a presentation, or preparing to go to work, or preparing for an interaction with someone. Well, preparing to go to sleep is probably one of the best ways that we can actually speed up our healing. So if you give yourself a certain window of a nightly ritual, where you put the lights on, maybe you read a couple passages of a book, maybe you write in your journal, maybe you write a letter to your loved one and just saying, telling them about your day, you just write it down. Or you could even speak it to them. Hey, this was my day today, something that's going to really help you to feel that sigh, so that, and then you can do the heart and belly breathing and counting backwards, and see if that helps.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to add, this may sound, all of this may sound absolutely impossible. So you just start a little bit at a time. So say right now you're ordering a pizza at 2 a.m. and you're watching movies until 4 a.m. and then you feel like crap the whole day, all the time, which just that part without the grief would probably do it. But so you start slowly. Instead of pizza at 2 a.m., you move it back to midnight. Instead of watching a movie till 4 a.m., you try to shut it off at 2. And then in the recommendations by the sleep experts are that you move it back 15 minutes a night. But right now, any change is going to be hard. So maybe it's 15 minutes a week. I mean, ultimately, you want to come out of this grief process in as good a shape as possible, and you want the healing to happen as quickly as possible, I would assume. So sleeping is when your brain really gets to heal. So prioritizing sleep, like Melisa was saying, it is really, really important if you want to feel better throughout the rest of the day, every day. So moving that time back, the ideal sleep time for most humans is 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. The time before midnight is really important. And I don't think we're going to get into the details of the science behind that. But if you can get to sleep before midnight, it's the best time to sleep. 9, 10 o'clock at night, depending on your body constitution and all that. So how do you do that? Well, you start early, like Melisa was saying. You start early, you want to eat early because you want your body to have the food digested before you go into sleep, which is brain digestion time. So everything that happens during the day gets digested at night when you're sleeping. And that's all these emotional trials that you're going through right now. All the suffering will get cleansed during sleep. And so when it's super important to be able to get that sleep at the appropriate time when you can. And starting even at 8 or 9 o'clock with your bedtime routine, making sure your room is dark and cool and quiet, getting off screens is really important. Like Melisa was saying, comfortable bed, comfortable sleeping, you know, if you like to sleep in something soft, maybe an eye mask or earplugs, whatever you need to do to just make your little cocoon. And, you know, a lot of one thing that's helped me that I love is I drink golden milk at night, not right before bed, but maybe an hour before bed. So this is a turmeric drink, and you can add a little sweetener like maple syrup or something. But it's just a warm. I use pea milk or flax milk because I don't do dairy, but you can certainly do dairy or whatever you like to mix it with. And I heat it up, and it's just like a little nighttime hug. And it also
Mm,
has properties that can help you feel more calm. And also the magnesium is great too. There's a magnesium product called Calm.
yes,
You drink it
I
in
do
warm
use that.
water.
And
Yeah.
that acts like a laxative as well. It helps you to go to sleep and acts like a laxative. And I do turmeric in my coffee. So that's something
Mm.
we didn't mention that I think is really important as an anti-inflammatory and good for balancing all of our systems is putting
Yeah,
that in
because
somewhere.
all of this stress causes inflammation, and it's the inflammation that actually causes disease. So that's why we keep talking about these health practices to help you keep you from getting inflammation and then getting sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we want to talk about movement? How are we doing on time?
It's probably about time. Maybe we'll do
Okay.
another one on movement.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We don't want to exhaust anybody. Thank you so much for listening and for taking care of yourself by seeking support, by watching this video. And we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks.